Everyone. I am Donovan Heinze, and this is my presentation on the documentary Ainu Neno on Ainu, recovering and reinventing the Ainu identity. So first, here's the outline for the presentation today. I'm going to first go over some of the background. First off, discussing who are the Ainu. Then talk a little bit about the screening that I went to attend. Going to also talk about the filmmakers and also the narrator that was chosen for this documentary. Then I'm going to cover over three recurring themes throughout the film. Uh, the concept of a new family album, the Ayamante and cultural traditions, and then the Ainu language. And then I'm going to discuss the production and beyond the filming. The Going to be talking about the punk approach of filmmaking, the year before they filmed, and then also beyond 2015. So first off, who are the Ainu? The Ainu are an indigenous people of southern Sakhalin, Hokkaido, and the Kuril Islands. They have a complicated history with the Yamato Japanese or Wajin. Um, this goes back several centuries, but what's very important for this presentation is uh, the fact that Hokkaido was formally annexed in 1869 by the Meiji government, and in the late 19th century there were several policies that were put into place to forcibly assimilate the Ainu into Japanese society. And one of the very important things to include with this is the fact that they were not allowed to speak their language during this time period. So the screening that I went to was back on December 4th, 2025, at the Sophia University Central Library, room 911. This was organized by Mega Edwa Sawa and David H. Settler, both professors at Sophia University. The structure of the screening itself, we first had a small introduction with one of the directors. Um, that's when the concept of punk filmmaking was first brought up, and then we watched this. Then we watched the the film. It was about 72 minutes long, and then after that we had about an hour long Q&A session with the filmmaker Laura Livrani. Um, so a bit so some of the so on the topic of Laura Livrani, she is a documentary photographer. This is also a film. She likes to focus on community identity within her works. All the pictures that you will see in this presentation are taken by her during the filmmaking process. She also mentioned during the Q&A process that she does not do solo work. She likes to do cooperative work. Um, and in the case of this film, her fellow filmmaker is Neo Sora. At this time, he did not have a debut film, but he has studied philosophy and film, and together with a person from Iceland, they formed a collective, a group called the Lunch Bee House. Also, someone very important to note for this film, we have Maya Sakine. She was chosen as the narrator for the film, and she is also an Ainu activist. So, to talk about a little bit about the film itself. So first off, this concept of a new family album. The idea gets started off with the title card. It's an important. They show off in the title card. They show off a. They show a. They show family album, and a lot of the pictures in there are on the older side, and are a lot of them are anthropological uh, photos. A lot of them are not what we would traditionally consider not what we would traditionally consider a family album, but this still has, despite despite the academic anthropological perspective of these pictures, the primary family, the Sakini family that we follow, ends up being the end up they still highly value they still highly value the they still highly value the family album. So to kind of convey this idea of a new family album, the pictures that we see here are also actually part of this film, and they're used as like a kind of a transition within the film, but they're also with like Maya Sakine. She provides a very strong she provides a narration about what she thinks about these people and how relevant they are to her. Um, and they're usually members of the community within the Bhutani, where the filming take place. This idea was developed while they were filming. They did when they were doing the preparation work for the film. This was not the original intent, but they decided to have this patchwork or new family album as a major perspective, and they also wanted to make sure that there was no central protagonist to the film. And then next is the Amante and the cultural traditions within that. A major aspect of the film is this last Ayamante in Nibatani that was in the 1970s. Um, the Ayamante is a spiritual festival. Is a spiritual tradition where they kill a bear cub to send it back to the spirit to the realm where the Kamui are the gods, uh, where the gods exist. Uh, and in the film, and this is the only part of the film that is not actually shot by the filmmakers. Uh, they actually have actual archival film from like this last Ayamante in Nibatani, and this is just exposed with images of the narrator's grandfather, um, who was believed to have been taken during shortly after this by the Kamui to the spirit world. Um, and due to this, they have not practiced the Ayamante in like the 40 plus years since then. Um, Another major aspect that they went over was Ainu traditions being continued and engaged with still today. Uh, in one case, they talk about on how this one Japanese family needed help from Ainu members of the community uh, to pacify the Kamui because they were having bad health issues, and the Kamui had not been properly appeased for some time. And then traditions that were once thought lost or barely on the edge of survival are also being revived today by younger people. You have people who are actively engaging and learning and practicing kamiyukar, which is a form of oral poetry. And then you also have people who you also have Wajin who have moved to the community. Uh, they're not of Ainu descent, but they they continue the traditional wood carving of the Ainu people, and they're considered part of the community. The Ainu elders actually taught the family traditional weaving and carving. And then what's very important here, you see here in this picture, Magi. They are a transgender woman who actually is learning like the actual Ainu culture, and she's been adopted by a member of the Ainu community in Nibatani. This is not explored in full depth, but they do briefly address that there is a disagreement over the role of ethnic tourism within the community. Um, you have people within the community who are fully supportive, who fully engage with the ethnic tourism industry, but you also have a person in the community who does not think ethnic tourism is a way to go about preserving the cultural traditions and teaching other people about it. Um, and this film was shot in 2015 before 2019, the passing of the 2019 law that gave rise to the National Ainu Park and Museum at Chiroi. We do see some glimpses of Shiroi during 2015, but this is this is before the major uh, park shows up, and this is also before the anime Golden Kamuy becomes really popular, both in Japan and also worldwide. And then the third thing that gets emphasized majorly with throughout the film is uh, the Ainu language. It is the filmmakers clock it as key to the cultural identity of the Ainu. And they do several things in order to help emphasize this. The film starts off with Maya Sakine in an Ainu language course. While this was shot several years after the original filming, it was added on to help emphasize the importance of the Ainu language and its cultural significance. And at the screening, they also had subtitles in English, but they purposely left the subtitles out during the Ainu language lessons to help mirror the what it sounds like to the people who are trying to learn language. It sounds very similar to it's very confusing to hear. You don't fully understand it, but you can it feels like, and I can speak from personal experience, that it does imply that there's an active attempt, and that's somehow language learning. It helps you feel like you're in the language learning. And then like there's an actual active effort to learn the language. Um, and in fact, one of the things that's very crucial is at the end of the film, after Eva, they actually have children who have been actively learning the language with the narrator's father, who's like a Wajin who got adopted into the community, who married into the community, and they're learning, and like they're speaking in Ainu, and it shows that there's this active effort to learn, and I feel like it helps feel like that cultural identity is like may not be fully there yet, but they're working on recapturing it, what it means to be Ainu to them. Now to talk about a few things about the production. So the filmmaker Laura Liverani, she purposely called it punk filmmaking. There's a few reasons why she called it punk filmmaking. First was that this was entirely self-funded by the three people like shooting the film. They they purposely did not want to have anyone above them deciding what goes into the film or where they're going to go shoot and what it's going to be about. They wanted full control. Um, I would also consider an element of this punk filmmaking experience is the fact that they did not have filmmaking experience beforehand. So a lot of this is try as they go, learn what they can during the 2 months that they are in Nibutani to figure out what they want to project and what they want to shoot. And the final element of this punk filmmaking approach is engaging directly with the community, trying to trying to ensure that they included what the community was interested in, what they might not, what they want to talk about, what they don't want to like focus on, what they want to talk about, and make sure that there's a fair representation, and make sure that the people feel like they're being properly represented. One of the key things that they do is when they do show the film to the finished film to the community in 2019 after all the editing, after all the like trans all the subtitle work is done, they show it to the community. They have a mixed reception to it, but it is also but no one stops it, and they also purposely return the photos that were taken during the filmmaking process to the people involved in the community. And then there's the year before the actual filmmaking. In 2014, they do the preliminary scouting. They go to Nibutani. They establish connections with people with gatekeepers into the community, and they also try to look for people who might be willing to work with them. This is when Maya Sakine is chosen as the narrator for the film. Um, one of the key things is between 2014 and 2015, she actually moves away from Nibutani to Sapporo for her education. So after they get done filming, when they get done shooting in Nibutani, they go talk to Maya, and they ask her to reminisce about this person or this person, and that's on how the narration got formatted. And during the year before, they did not have a clear approach of what they wanted to do with the film yet. And then beyond 2015 and the documentary. So afterwards, they hired a fourth person into the process to serve as an editor to help the process get along a little bit quicker. The documentary was formally shown to those involved in 2019 before any official screening. And as I mentioned previously, the pictures that were taken as part of the filmmaking were given back to the community. Um, and and since then, Maya Sakini is still active in activism. Uh, at the screening, it was mentioned that she actually still she goes to some of she has shown up to some of the screenings to also answer some of the questions that have been evolved. But it's also important to note that she was also recruited as a consultant for the video game Ghost of Yote that released last year in 2025. So she's still actively helping people learn about Ainu culture and stuff. Thank you for listening and watching this presentation. And here are my sources for this presentation.